Hey everybody, Tom Cryptogram here. I just wanted to make a quick-ish video with what I hope is the exact right amount of information to help you. If you are on Windows 10, use VirtualBox to create a NixOS VM and get Hyprland running on it. I ran into quite a few issues trying to do that exact thing. I thought it would be very easy and I didn't even expect to make a video on it, but I ended up with quite a few questions that took quite a bit of research, and so here I am. I just wanted to be able to share that quickly. There were a lot of people on Reddit saying it can't be done, it doesn't work well, or it doesn't work at all, etc. It definitely does work, and we'll be showing that off right here. Actually, I'm going to do a quick cut where I kind of jump to the future where it's already done. It is already done, but I want to make sure that I show it in the state that I go through in my steps and not accidentally show off the state that I have mine in right now, which has a few more tweaks and things in it. So here's the cut where you will see it working. Hey, so as you can see here, this is what we're going to end up with in the end. We are going to have NixOS running on a VM in VirtualBox from Windows 10 with Hyprland going. I'm currently in the hyprland.conf, and you can see that I clearly have it running. I can make changes and already did to my comp file, which we'll go over a little bit later. I don't have anything else to really say. Once you're at this point, getting a start menu and actually using Hyprland to be customized to what you want is on you at this point. But I should be able to get you to this point if you are at least in my shoes as far as running Windows 10. You have the hard drive space necessary to load up and run this VM. You obviously need an internet connection. You're watching this on YouTube, so I assume you have one. You're going to need to just download VirtualBox and install it, the ISO to load from in the first place, and that's about it. You need the RAM and at least one CPU core that you can spare to the VM, and that's it. So I'm going to cut back to kind of where we left off, and man, good luck following these instructions. I really hope they help you. All right, and we're back. So as you saw, it works perfectly fine in a VM, and we will go over some of the limitations. And real quick, I just wanted to go over my hardware specs as well. I have an 8-core process. Whoops, let's go to CPU. I have a 5800 X3D 8-core processor. So between that and 80 gigs of RAM, I have plenty of resources to give to a VM. So your performance and mileage is definitely going to vary. There is no GPU pass-through from Windows 10 to a VM. You can have a Windows 10 VM and that is running on a VM and hand a GPU to it, but not the other way around. I did a lot of research on this and looked at some PowerShell commands and all sorts of stuff, and ended up determining quite certainly that you cannot share a VM in normal Windows like 10 home a GPU. I think there is like some server version which I don't have, and anyway, forget it. So I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're roughly like me. Let's just move on. So we've seen my hard drive spec or my hardware specs. We've seen that it does work and it can work in action. And now let's just talk about how very quickly. I want to note, do not download this image right here, this pre-made VirtualBox image. It has certain limitations to it. I don't know exactly how it's set up, of course, or anything. It will not go into a log out screen where you log back in, which is something we need to swap our desktop. You can lock the user out, but that's not the same thing. You need to log the user out where their desktop has been shut down, and then you can swap to a new desktop. That's not what lock does. Lock is locking the current desktop, but leaving your session up. So anyway, what you're going to need to do, what I've done specifically, is download the GNOME or GNOME Intel AMD download, and I'm not going to re-download it. You'll end up with a file called latest NixOS GNOME x86 whatever. All right, and I'm going to assume you already have VirtualBox downloaded. If you don't, just Google VirtualBox or Bing it or whatever you use and download and install it for free. And when you have it installed and then opened, it will look something like this, except that these two machines will not exist. So all you have to do is go to New. We're going to create a new VirtualBox VM. Let's call it NixOS now with Hyprland. This right here, as far as I understand, this folder is the folder where the session and information for this VM will live. I am not super familiar with exactly how VirtualBox works. You can see that I've done this a couple of times over the last few days. So I've already got a nice dedicated section for it. I am sure that my hard drive has plenty of space, etc., etc. And now for the ISO image, we're going to select the ISO image we just had downloaded and type. We want to go to Linux. It will select Oracle Linux automatically for some reason. If anybody has any idea why, maybe it's just not right in the middle. I have no clue. We're just going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and say Other Linux 64-bit. And next, I want to give mine 4 processors. I have 8 total, and I don't mind sparing 4 while I use this. Base memory, again, I have 80 gigs of RAM, so I'll be giving mine, let's just say 20, whatever number that is, 22,000 megs, about 20 gigs or 22 gigs of RAM rather. I want to pre-allocate the full size. This should ask the hard drive for the size to be allocated ahead of time. And I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm going to go ahead and just give it 30 gigs. We're just going to double check real quick that we have that amount of space. All right, my D drive still has 1.6 terabytes free. That seems like plenty. And I don't care about any of this junk. So next, and finish. Now, this will take a minute, so I'll probably do a quick cut. All right, that just took a few minutes, and let's just add a couple of quality of life features before we get going. There is a shared clipboard disabled. I like bidirectional. The bidirectional means that my actual OS that's hosting the VM will copy and I can paste into the VM, and I can copy things in the VM and paste in my actual machine. This helps me make a lot of notes and share things back and forth, of course. And then display is probably the big one for me. I jack it up to the max, which is only 128 megs of video memory or VRAM. I'm going to keep it at 1 monitor and enable 3D acceleration. And does it say exactly? Yeah, virtual machine will be given access to the 3D graphics capabilities available on the host. That appears to be a bit of a lie, though it's hard to tell exactly how. And we could go get into graphics drivers and 3D acceleration and all kinds of crap all day. But we're just going to leave the rest of this as is, and we're going to hit OK. Now we should be ready to go if we click this and just click Start. We will see our virtual machine popping up in the background. I wish it had popped up in the foreground. And we can just go ahead and hit Enter on the first thing, and we are going to have our VirtualBox installer. If you have any issues while you're running this where your mouse gets locked inside the VM, your right control, if you see down here it says right control, should be set up by default to sort of help you exit that VM. We might see that happen in just a minute, and I'll try to call it out manually. And now we just wait a few minutes at most for the VM to sort of initialize and boot off of this ISO image that we downloaded. And okay, here we are. Actually, I don't even know if I'll cut for that one. So now we are in the sort of the install, yep, the NixOS installer, ISO, and this should look exactly how it would look, except that it's in a tiny window on a screen, but otherwise should look exactly how it would look on a real machine on bare metal. And all right, so let's just go through. Interesting. And yep, select our stuff. Yep, I used to use Dvorak, never again. Full name. I don't know why that happens sometimes. I must have put my mouse in the wrong spot, but anyway. Tom. Whoa. Cryptogram. My real name by birth. Name we want to use for the login. We'll just say, we can just leave it as Tom Cryptogram. I don't really care. We're just going to make a temp password, so we'll be like temp pass, I don't freaking know, 12 at symbol. Does that sound good? Temp pass 12 at. Does that pass the required? Yeah, you know what? Forget your damn strong passwords. I don't care. Login automatically without asking for the password. We do not want that. Use the same password for the administrator account. The passwords don't match. Oh. So let's just say password 123. I don't care. I'm obviously just gonna delete this freaking VM when I'm done with this demo. And so yeah. Yeah. Was it password 123? I might have to check the tapes on that one. Yeah, anyway. Changed it too many times. So this is what I kind of don't understand. If you happen to know the reason, I'd love to see it in a comment. But when you download the ISO, it's a GNOME specific ISO, and then everything is available. I've also done the KDE one, and it's the same. We're just going to go with GNOME. I'm assuming the package is already available in the ISO, so it kind of ships with one that doesn't have to be retrieved online, just in case you're, installing a VM, or in this case, installing from an ISO on a computer that's not connected to the internet. Total guess. All right, we are going to allow unfree software. I don't think that'll actually be necessary for this, but I've already had issues trying to install VS Code, and it's unfree software, and on and on and on. So that's something that I'm fine with. We're going to click erase disk. We don't need to make a manual partition or do anything fancy. We don't need to encrypt the system. These are all things you might want to do, though I don't know why, on a virtual machine. And we look at our summary. I really wish this didn't go outside of the thing, but I'm just clicking a button that appears to say install off of the edge here, and then that's it. So in just a moment we'll do another cut. I'm not trying to hide any steps or anything, but this takes a good 15 minutes, I want to say. I don't remember. I didn't time it. I keep walking away during this portion. So anyway, we'll be back, and we have one fairly crucial next step when we restart the PC. And by PC I mean virtual machine. And we'll go from there. Hey, we're back. Yeah, if you do install this and follow along, by the way, at least in my experience, the install sits on 46% for, it looked like it was about 10 to 15 minutes, at least 10 minutes. And then just kind of jump to all done, this all done screen that we're seeing here. So don't fret if you are potentially convinced that it's frozen. The only way that would happen is you will have sort of a splash screen that's here where it says all done now, but before, that is rolling through different things about NixOS, and there is also a little icon, let me write control, that is, if you can see my mouse cursor down here, showing the SATA port, which is the hard drive port, and you'll see it kind of flash red every 5 to 10 seconds. This should be letting you know that the VM is still probably running properly and attempting to install NixOS. No guarantees, I guess. All right, so we are going to click what appears to be done right here. Yep, the installation is complete. Close the installer, and it's going to. Did I forget to actually click restart when completed or anything? Shoot, I wasn't even paying attention. I think I did. That's good anyway. If you didn't and you clicked done and it restarted, you need to essentially get Oracle VirtualBox here to shut down the computer and stop rebooting it, because it'll keep rebooting onto that ISO. What we want to do here now is power off. Power off, and this should just completely close after it does its shutdown. And we need to do one thing. So we right-click our VM, go to Settings, go down to Storage, go to the CD icon right here, and you'll see this is the name of the ISO that we had loaded. And I believe if we click right here, we can just say Remove Disk. Yep. And now it is empty, so it still technically thinks it has a CD or DVD drive of some kind, but it's empty, just like we would want it in real life. And then we can, I keep right-clicking out of habit, click here. I'm just going to double-check something real fast. Display. Okay, this stuck. I would have sworn one time when I set one of these up, I set all of these settings, and then they were unset after the install. I must just not have set them because I've been messing around with this so much. So all we should have to do after removing that ISO image from the DVD tray is click Start. And what should happen is a working VM of NixOS will boot up. All right, we can just hit Enter right here or wait a few seconds. And it's booting up for the first time. I really might have to go reference what the hell that password, that Garbo temp password was. All right, this is one of our things. I need to figure out how to get those to just not show up. And I'll show you why later. So this right here, you'll see this, and it can be a little confusing if you've never seen it before. As if you need to log in. It looks as if you need to log in. You do not. It will log in itself. Yeah, password 123. We all knew that. I knew it. Just making sure you guys knew. Okay, so we log in. Skip. And I'm just going to increase this for now. I actually didn't expect it to do that. I thought I... Okay, sure, whatever. All right, so here we are. We are in NixOS, just as normal. We are in our own VM now, rather than the sort of pre-created one with the demo user, with the username and passes demo, blah, blah, blah. So we're just going to go here. We're going to type in CON for console, right-click, pin to dash, launch it from here. That is just a quality of life improvement I suggest everybody take. All right. Okay. Yeah, first thing I knew I had an odd note in here. The first thing I recommend you do, password 123, is just do a rebuild. We haven't changed anything, we haven't done anything, and we'll see why. We'll just go over it in just a moment. Okay, from a completely fresh install, if you want to call it an install as a VM, we already have one warning, and the main reason I wanted to do this right away is just to kind of show when we see this warning in a moment from the changes we've made, it's not because of the changes we made. It's literally just a warning that's built into the OS right now saying that some name is going to change in the future, deprecated name type, something, doesn't really matter and doesn't particularly affect us. We just want to be sure that that has nothing to do with any of the changes we're about to make, and we haven't fat-fingered something, typed something incorrectly. All right, we are now going to edit the config, and if you are a long-time Nix user, which I am not, then you will know. Yeah, I've never seen that warning before, and I do this all the time. Wow. So, um, I'll have, I'm going to try to have every single one of these commands and steps, literally step by step, in the description of this video, in the YouTube post that is linked from this video, and try to make sure that every single thing is documented piece by piece. Again, this is, you can see the time and date in my bar on the bottom right hand side, and if this video is probably more than 3 to 6 months old, it might not work exactly the same. And here we go. There are a couple of packages that I want us to get, and yeah, Nano is installed by default. I don't understand that thing. Don't forget to add an editor, Vim, whatever. Nano seems fine to me. We really only need to add Terminator. And we are going to also add Git, because I feel like it comes up a lot as something that I generally need. And then we need to add one line. Okay, hopefully that cut wasn't too weird. I grabbed the wrong command. And this should be all that we want to add. So just to recap, we added Terminator, Git, and then programs.hyprland.enable equals true. That's it. As far as the general enable in the config file, so let's do a write out with Control O, Control X to close, hit up a couple of times, do our rebuild switch, and give it a moment. And we will hopefully see a bunch of packages get pulled and done. The same warning as before that we don't care about. And there we are. Okay, so that was successful. It only took maybe 60 seconds. And let's double check some stuff. Yes, thank God everything's still recording. I would hate to redo this whole thing because All right, so yeah, we have to do one or two things before we actually swap over to Hyprland now. It is technically installed and technically available, but it won't run, and there's a couple of reasons why. And we'll go over that right now. So if we just shizzle, if we just type in the wrong window, sudo, let's see, I think we are, let's just pwd, we're in the home directory, right? Okay, so we have to sudo nano isn't it, let's just ls real quick. Crap. Oh, I'm looking at it wrong. So sudo nano slash dot config sudo nano dot slash dot config slash hyper slash, isn't it Hyprland? That's probably a lot of .conf. Okay. I went to the wrong one. What did I do wrong? Okay. Hopefully that cut wasn't too weird. What I think we have to do right here, unfortunately, that I kind of forgot about, is actually log out. Just log out. So this will close our session in our desktop, and then we log back in. Now, real quick, GNOME is listed here. What did I forget? Interesting. Do I... Crap. I forgot a step somewhere. I did the rebuild switch, right? That's exactly what I did. Do we need to log into it once and then back out for it to initialize that config file? What the hell are you doing? Okay, there we go. Interesting. Not really sure. And so we are in here now, and we are going to actually just super M, which is for me the Windows key M. And that will get me back out of Hyprland. I'm going to go back into GNOME. Okay. My brain is exploding. Ha. Okay. So, just a quick recap. I'm going to do some weird cuts there, so it's not just me wondering what the hell. After doing the rebuild.switch, I needed to restart. I needed to log into Hyprland and then hit Windows M to just get right back out of Hyprland without doing anything. Get back into GNOME, and now we are going to edit this config file for Hyprland. And there is one main reason why. Kitty is not the terminal type that we installed. Kitty will crash on this VM. I don't know if it will crash on every VM, on your VM. If you're running Windows 10 with VirtualBox and done what I've done, you will probably crash. Kitty uses OpenGL and needs an OpenGL driver. And I don't know what kind of graphic stack we have exactly. I was an OpenGL driver developer for AMD for 5 years, so your guess is as good as mine, honestly, even with that Garbo pedigree. So first thing we're going to do is get rid of this auto-generated thing, and that is that like banner at the top that was saying hit super M to do this and super Q to do that. And our terminal, as you might recall, is the Terminator. Now we're going to Control O to save, and hit Enter to save, and then Control X. And then I don't think we have to do any sort of rebuild. Actually, I know for a fact we don't. I'm just going to type in exit because it's fun to type things. And we are going to log out. Now, when we log in, we're going to select Hyprland. Enter our super secret password that definitely nobody knows. And you can see that our banner at the top is gone, and we are ready to go. So if we hit Windows Q, it opens up a terminal. If we hit Windows Q again, it opens up another terminal. And we are in Hyprland. Now, from here, we can sudo nano.config/hyper/hyprland.conf and hit enter. And actually for this, do I remember how to close this? It's in this config file. Oh, whatever. So let's just go down and look for it. I think it's super. So let's just make a couple of really quick things. And by the way, we're done. Now everything is on you to do whatever it is you want. We're just going to change gaps out. And I think that is the gaps around the edge of the operating system itself, where the windows are touching the edge of the screen, technically. And we're going to make that like 8. And I saw a cool trick that somebody did. They did #/Octothorpe if you prefer 20, which I think was the default. And if I just hit Control O and hit Enter and save right now, we will see that adjustment is made live. That is so cool to me. Now, gaps in is the gaps between windows. I just want that to be like 2. And we're going to do Octothorpe 5, because I think, anyway. And you can see how this is going, and boom, the adjustments are made live. And then there was one other, rounding is 10. And yeah, I'm just gonna do, the rounding is the actual rounding on the edges of the windows, and I'm just gonna do like a 7 and 10. Did it change? I didn't see it. Okay, whatever. I'm going to assume it changed. I was looking away. And that's it. Everything else at this point is on you. Unfortunately, I'm going to not pretend I am any sort of Hyprland expert, since I barely got it working about 5 hours ago, maybe, and then went back to getting some work done in my normal life. And yeah, so here we are. I've got to record that intro that you saw when when the thing started. So hey, if you have any more questions about anything and you think I can help, let me know in the comments. I'd love to try and help anybody out. Again, I'm obviously very much a noob in this space, and am really just interested in getting some stuff going. I'd love to have a decent setup ready for myself when I go to bare metal with NixOS, and I'm ready to jump straight into Hyprland with a config that I've already created. The sort of interesting thing we have here is the inability to use a graphics card. So we can't use a lot of like drop shadows and pass through, not pass through, the GPU pass through, but like opacity, I don't believe. I'm going to mess around with a few things. And again, I think the challenge is on myself, at least for me, not necessarily for anybody else, to try to create what is essentially a the usage of a fully fledged Windows manager on NixOS, while still being so lightweight that a no graphics card VM can run it. So we've got this sort of like odd conglomeration of like modern and new and nice and pretty, while being restricted to very, very low hardware with no, with no graphics capabilities. So I personally find that an interesting challenge. What's really odd is that as soon as I'm actually done with Windows and move over to NixOS and make this my daily driver, I'm going to go, oh yeah, now I have a graphics card dedicated to my machine / operating system, and I can change all of these options. But again, I assume a lot of you are also hobbyists like myself, and you find this sort of situation, when you find yourself in a situation like this, you're sort of intrigued, I would think, with the general challenge of it all, in spite of its lack of practicality. It's practical in a way, and it's a great learning experiment, but also, who cares? I don't know. So there's lots of great YouTube videos out there that will show you how to set up your Hyprland config in other ways. Just be careful, and I recommend at this point that you go to your VirtualBox manager, go to your VM, and go to snapshots, I believe, and you should be able to click take. And I guess I can just do that right now. Just got Hyprland working with the bare bones conf changes. And as you sort of mess with this, I know that the entire point of NixOS is to sort of have this rollback feature, but I don't know how well that works, if at all. I have no clue. For Hyprland and these sort of settings, right? This isn't the config.nix file. This is a comp file for Hyprland itself. So as you attempt to, because when I was running Kitty over and over and trying it, it just kept crashing instantly. And I finally just did a little bit of, Googled what is Kitty, and don't Google Kitty Terminal. Google Kitty Terminal Linux. Much safer. and found that it was a like graphics heavy terminal. Cool. That's why it doesn't work though. So when we do that, uh, we should be able to, when we do follow through this, we'll have our snapshot taken and we can roll back anytime. And you can keep doing that and remove other snapshots as you go. I don't know how much room these take on your hard drive. And so anyway, but as you make, risky decisions and risky changes that you think might completely hose Hyprland, first of all, you can always back up into GNOME and log in. And if you know what you just changed in your comp file, hyprland.conf file, you can cut that back out, change it back, whatever it is you need to do. So that should always be pristine, probably. But again, I still recommend when working with something as volatile as this, which is how I would call it, something that'll crash the entire thing because you tried to launch Kitty. It's pretty unstable. And it could have been set as the default in your, in your conf. So anyway, go ahead. So I hope this is helpful. And yeah, if you made it this far, don't give it a like or subscribe. I'm not making any more of these, I don't think, man. And if I do, it's not because of those. So appreciate it, though. Hope everybody learned something and was able to get something going that they needed going who watched this entire thing. All right, so